All right. So with Magic Browser open, we are ready to start our animatic. All I got to do is click on my animatic task. I've got this thing for sequence 10. So I'm going to click on that, and then there's going to be this start button. So then I hit start, and Alchemy's going to do a bunch of stuff under the hood. It's going to make a folder structure for this sequence that I'm working on. It's going to give me my own files and directories, and it's going to give me my own default files specific to the animatic task, which in our case, we're using Adobe Premiere. So it's going to pull a default Adobe Premiere project from the default file system. So after it does all that, I now have an Adobe Premiere project and I'm ready to go. I'm going to pull in some reference. I've got this Samurai Jack clip that we're going to use for today's demo and pretend that it's an animatic, but you'll get the idea. So we'll open up Premiere by double clicking on the icon. And then the first thing we'll do is create a sequence. I gotta figure out how to create sequences presets because... Oh, there we go. That's cool. I can say this is a new one. I need a 24 frames a second preset. And so I'm gonna do that real quick. And then save preset. Okay. There we go. Now I got an Alchemy thing. That's awesome. And then I'm going to give it a sequence name. And hit OK. All right. So let's get our reference in here. Show in folder. And then we're going to pop that into the timeline. And then I'm going to keep the existing sequence settings because I want the sequence to be at 24 frames a second. And I know it's going to jack everything up, but we just need this to work for this demo. So I'm taking a couple of shortcuts, but Alchemy right now is built for 24 frames per second because I typically work in animation and film. Okay, so now, let's just create a couple of clips for ourselves. That's interesting. There we go. Boom. And then we'll come in here. What is going on in this? I got some weird things going on with my GPU or something. Okay, there's another one. There's another one. And there we go. Boom. Boom. All right. So I'm going to delete that. Now we have we got a few clips. This is awesome. So next step is we're just going to name these things so that Alchemy can see them. We're going to make a nested sequence. 010, 0100. Okay. And then another nested sequence. 010, 0200. 010, 0300. Boom. Nest. 010, 0400. Boom. All right, so we got our frame rate correct at 24 frames a second. We got all this junk named correctly. Now we're going to go through and we're going to give it a blue color. Now this is something that we implemented in Alchemy just to make sure that we knew that you wanted this stuff to be in Alchemy. It also is a nice visual indicator when you've got a massive timeline with tons of stuff in it. This ends up being a great visual indicator that your stuff has been published, basically. So that's a feature that you might not see the value of it right here, but when there's thousands of clips, it's pretty valuable. So let's export this as a Final Cut Pro XML. And to do that, it actually went to the right location, but let me help explain where that is. We're putting it in this render files location. So these files are located in this source tree, and the stuff that we export or render should be located here. In most of the packages that we use, there's a nice Python API, and we just do all this for you. With stuff like Premiere, it's not fancy like that, so we kind of have to just do manual file path gathering. And the way that you do that is you can copy that file path here, you can push this button and it'll open that location. So I can grab that, but what I want is I want the render tree, so I got to change that to render. Now that'll give me the right location. So that's how we get it. And let's just double check that's there. Yep. So we're going to save that XML. And if we go back to Alchemy, there it is. That's the refresh button. Okay, so now we got to export a clip. So those are the two things we need to publish a edit. We need a XML file and we need a clip or a movie. Let's just double check that is the right spot. Okay. So then I think we'll just export it. All right. Now we're going to see if we did everything correct. So now that we've got all of our exports, we're going to select that XML and hit publish. You're going to hit run all, and that's going to be checking for the XML file, checking for the MP4 file. It's going to pop up this little preview of what your edit is based off what it finds when it reads the XML. It's going to make an open timeline IO file. It's going to make a wave file because we might use that in various places, especially handy when you've got a bunch of Photoshop files and audio files in your animatic. So let's put a description in. SJ Samurai Jack. 4 shots of fun. All right. And it's publishing it. Where it's going to be making all kinds of videos. It's going to make a video of every shot. It's going to make a preview video that it can upload to ShotGrid using the ShotGrid version. It's going to do all the things. So once that's all done, it puts it in Alchemy's versionless publishing system. So we've got two things going on here. In versions, that's kind of like your user versions, and what it's done is it's now created a published version, and then it's to kind of keep a record of like, yeah, I published that thing, it's a major version. And then it does this nice thing where it gets you a cleaned version of version 1, which we can also kind of show you. Let's go back here, go back here. So it'll default to the latest version. Next time you open this, you'll just open up your Premiere project and you'll be good to go. The published version of that, or the major version, is going to have all the renders and stuff like that. The next minor version that we create for you just cleans all that out, so you got a fresh place to start when you open it back up. So, and then you've also got a nice version history. So the other thing that it does is it creates this publishes thing where it publishes the animatic here. We're using a similar folder structure, but putting kind of like different names in the folders so that we don't have to have two different folder structures to deal with in the code. So this just makes the code easier to manage. But now our renders are published to this versionless folder system here, and all of the shots have been published. We've published image sequences because sometimes I want those. We've published stuff that Avid can read. We've published a WAV file, and we published an MP4 file. So you're really covered when Alchemy publishes this stuff out of Premiere. And we've got all the shots nice and named and organized, and we're ready to go. All right, that's about it for a publish from an animatic. Next video is going to be how we bring this into Maya.